Subscribe, like and share. Remember to click the bell please. Watch our playlist again so as to grasp the continuous trend of the market and refresh your mind. Good evening, guten Abend, bonsoir, buenas noches to investors in North and South America. Ohayo gozaimasu. 안녕하세요. 各位早晨. Good morning to investors in Asia. Buenas noches, guten Nacht, good night to investors in Europe and Africa. I'm Daniel Yu speaking from Hong Kong. It's 5th December here and 4th December in Wall Street. This week, I have 4 main points to talk about. Number 1 is bull market or overbuying. Number 2, Taiwan Science Park. Number 3, institutional buyers and stocks recommendations. Number 4, pandemic measurements in China. This week, let's concentrate on Dow Jones first. What position is the market in? After the dovish speech of Jerome Powell, the market is in 2 straight months of rising since August 2021. Not very much indeed. But when you view the heat map chart, it's nearly all green. Please compare with the previous videos and you can see the difference. The top of Dow Jones was in January 2022. That means the market was already exhausting after August 2021. Now the market has been rising for 2 months. So it's overbought or entering the bull market. The bottom is clearly seen in a W shape. Mind that the 2 important legs. The first bottom is on September 30th at 28715.85. Please mark down. It is the day of RRP that I have been talking about for several weeks. The second button is on October 13 at 28660.94. What happened at that time? The September CPI was announced on that day at 8.2%, even higher than expectation of 8.1%, but lower than previous month of 8.3%. Therefore, it is the end of the falling wave C and also the start of upward wave 1. So on October 18th, wave 1 is fixed on the breakthrough of top line of double bottom, and this is wave 2. Wave 3 is here, for it is the most impulsive wave. And we come to wave 4 and then wave 5. So comes the question, why wave 3 is fixed at November 15 at 33987.06 and not on November the 2nd? For there is a year line known as 250 SMA, and the penetration of this line is known as explosive power. For wave 3 is the most explosive wave. On November 10th, we can see a big white candlestick for the CPI of October was announced to drop greatly from 8.2% to 7.7%. But after a few days, it is exhausted. The top can be seen on November 15 at a black struggling stick. Mind that stochastic lows started to go horizontally even if the price went up. So it is reasonable to fix wave 4 here. Therefore, we are now in wave 5, but still have to observe whether it has any extension to develop or forming into truncation. This is the point to decide whether the market is overbought and continues to rebound. Basically, there are 2 kinds of definition of bull market. The first one is a rise of 20% from the low. So we calculate from October 13 at 28660.94, a 20% rise is 5732.18, which should be at the level of 34393.12. Mind that the closing price of the past Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are all above it. That is, after the speech of Powell, we have to fix it according to the closing price. And now, 3 major economic indicators have all been announced, including GDP of Wednesday, PCE of Thursday, and employment report of Friday. The rest to mind is the PPI on December 9th and CPI on December 13th. Another definition of watershed of bull market is the 250 SMA. In the futures, it is the 250 WMA. It has already passed over and entered into bull market, even though this is not as popular as the 20% definition. But we can treat the year line as a preparatory signal and 20% watershed as a confirmation. One more point to say, the high of Dow Jones is on January the 5th, 2022 at 36,952.65, and a drop of 20% is entering the bear market, which is 7390.53 points, and the bear market watershed is at 29562.12. It dropped through on September 23rd, but Nasdaq already dropped 20% on February 24th. Anyway, rising above the watershed, no matter in Nasdaq or Dow Jones, does not mean entering into bull market. We still have to observe the rise of 20% from the low. But if the rise really comes, it does not mean it will rocket up strictly at once. Still will shuttle up and down. Let's see what happened on the last wave. On June 17th, after the CPI of the previous month went up into a horrible high of 9.1%, the low was at 29653.29. A rise of 20% should be 5930.65 at 35583.94. But on August 16th of 34281.30, it really is above the 250 SMA and still has to turn down. However, if you refer to Nasdaq and S&P, it is another story and will be talked about later. From the Fibonacci retracement, we can see it has already reached 0.618 level. But from the Fibonacci art, we can see this is exactly the announcement day of CPI. So let's keep an eye on it. The future movement from now to December 13 should be between 33220 to 35000 based upon the Fibonacci arc. So let's go to another topic, which is the Science Park of Taiwan. In northwest Taiwan, there's a place called HsinChu. In 1976, the National Tsinghua University raised an idea to establish a science park over there by the side of the university. For Silicon Valley, it's by the side of Stanford University. Mind that there are 2 universities using the same name of Tsinghua. The one in Taiwan has a prefix, which is National Tsinghua University, and the one in Beijing is without the prefix, just called Tsinghua University. They are 2 different universities without any relation. In America, Miami University is different from University of Miami. They have no relation at all. Normally, the Tsinghua in Beijing is more famous and has a higher ranking, but they cannot produce the TSM, which is in top 10 of largest enterprises of the world. Even other more famous universities cannot produce either. So university rankings is not all in all. Sometimes always the thing more important than that. In 1980, the Science Park was officially formed and focus is on semiconductors. And foundry already started to develop in 1976. The research center of the Science Park is supported by 2 universities, which are National Taiwan University and National Tsinghua University. In the 1997 to 1998, the Asian financial crisis, most of Asian cities were seriously hurt. but Taiwan cities had an earlier recovery than others simply because the HsinChu Science Park is matured. Now, the 5 nm TSM factories in Arizona will operate in 2023, and 3 nm factories will be completed in 2025 and have mass production in 2027. But the headquarters of TSM in Taiwan will start to develop 2 nm chips in 2023, and in 2027 will develop 1 nm chips. US is far left behind. Few universities can nourish a new company like TSM to be the top 10 of the world. University ranking is important, but not all in all. A university must develop its own style, pattern, and has its peculiar so as to serve the society and serve the world instead of chasing after the rankings. Now, the research center of TSM is still in the headquarters of Taiwan, for they think the environment is better than the US on concentration of related manpower. Warren Buffett has used $4.1 billion to purchase TSM stocks. Some like to follow, but something is too late, so those can buy United Microelectronic Corporation, UMC, which is also a major member in the HsinChu Science Park, for it is a combination of 5 companies, and that's why it is called United. In the Express of the coming week, we will have a 1-week topic on TSM and semiconductors. It is issued on a daily basis from Monday to Friday. Please contact Professor Vitali for details. For the reverse repurchase agreement, RRP, we can see the institutional purchase started on September 30th and gradually became more and more. And now the latest value has decreased from $2.425 billion to $2.050 billion. That means in these 2 months, the institutional buying is worth $375 billion. And that's how the first chart of this video shows 2 consecutive monthly gains since August 2021. Concerning the ban of chips on China, optimistic investors consider it as an elimination of competitors, so the current related stocks are in a better position. Stocks to buy include ASML, which is going to establish a factory in HsinChu Science Park for TSM and not in their Arizona factories. AMAT is stronger than Nasdaq and can change the speed of Dow Jones. AMD may have a chance to double up the price in the next few years. AVGO is also stronger than Nasdaq. Just reiterate once more, when Nasdaq is under 250 SMA, buy QQQ. But when passing up the 250 SMA, should buy the TQQQ. What the market position is in now? Will it retreat before the next FOMC meeting on December 13 and CPI of the same day? One more point to mind, that is the pandemic measurement of China. Under strong opposition from the general public, the government policy really is adjusting a little. But how much it can adjust further and whether the general public is satisfied or not, the system of China is different from the UK, where they could call Prime Minister Liz Truss to step down at once. They would not act as in Hong Kong, where 2 million people had demonstration to stop passing a bill. Even the government has some concessions. We must evaluate how it facilitates the production chain rather than the demand of demonstrators. For China is still factory of the world. Now EU, Japan, and US factories are planning to move out of China. Not only India and Vietnam are benefited, even some move back to the US. TSM no longer develops their factories in mainland China, but in Arizona. Focus of investors should be at these items rather than their pledge of give me liberty or give me death. China is still insisting that the East is rising and the West is falling. In the World Cup, it really is. Japan and South Korea are rising. So now we have to see how the Golden Dragon Index rises and Dow Jones falls before the FOMC meeting of December 13 to 14. Mind that short sellers are ready to sell the Dow Jones Index, and the hedge fund is going to buy the Nasdaq at the parallelogram of Ursa Minor. So we can't eliminate the chance of falling. Better get ready to buy at low for another rise. So let's watch the World Cup final together tonight. Sayonara, auf Wiedersehen, adieu, bye bye. See you next week.